What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage, and we are back today with a Dark Dimension 5 reflection and overview video in preparation here now being the next stage, being city nodes. Now, if you guys have been following my channel, in previous videos, I've already made a walkthrough and strategy overall for the first 3 nodes where I was able to one-shot all of them. Now comes one of the harder sections of Dark Dimension 5, and that's really the city nodes. There's been a very popular strategy of utilizing both Cloak and Dagger, and they actually make the experience quite smooth and streamlined if you checked out other content creators utilizing that combination. The caveat, however, is that Cloak and Dagger do require Mystic Gear, and that is actually a constraint, especially when we head towards the Cosmic nodes and as well as the Legendary nodes that possess some of those higher, more powerful characters that actually use the same Mystic Gear. So that said, this video is really meant to kind of segue into that conversation of which characters you should be bringing in, as well as my own personal experience, because I can honestly say I didn't utilize both Cloak and Dagger. I only used Cloak, but I wanted to discuss my experience overall because at the time of recording, I have actually wrapped up the city nodes now. I just haven't released the videos because they are currently being edited. But I can say with certainty that my team took about 3 or 4 attempts with this combination. So I'm hoping to share that with you, and as well as any regrets I may or may not have had. So that said, you guys, just for context, for the first 3 nodes as a refresh, the first 5 characters I actually used, actually 6 in total. The first 5 or 6 characters I used in the first 3 nodes, just for reflection purposes, was Cloak. I utilized Ghost Spider, Shang-Chi, Omega Red, as well as Scarlet Spider. So those 5 were used for both nodes 1 and 2, and then for nodes 3 I switched things up by actually utilizing Dr. Doom because we needed his healing, so I brought him in place of Scarlet Spider. And it's kind of funny because this is already kind of a preview of what we're going to expect, but again, as a pre-ramble, the usual combination is if you have enough Mystic Gear, the top combination to utilize for these nodes is actually Cloak and Dagger combination because of their synergy, the fact that they can inflict so many negative conditions, and they do actually streamline that experience. But again, because of that Mystic Gear crunch, they're gonna really push you back in terms of waiting. You're likely gonna be gated at Cosmic or Legendary nodes depending, and I didn't want that. And as well, Dagger is actually pretty costly as well to bring up, so that's the other thing to consider. To get you guys back up to speed now in terms of my own personal experience of which 5 characters I actually utilize. So starting off, we're just going to talk about the first 4 that we already seen in previous videos, right? Scarlet Spider, Extension, Negative Conditions, applying slow, actually being able to give benefits to fellow web warriors. If you have a lot of bio gear and materials to actually bring up web warriors, I think they're a solid mixture, right? Because they have the synergies already. And then Scarlet Spider working in tandem with Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider having the ability block, being able to spread negative conditions as well. That really worked fortuitously for my team, especially when I had Cloak as the main negative condition dealer here, right? And having those blinds and spreading it out, those 3 worked really well together. As well, last but not least here, Shang-Chi, 100% highly recommend if you guys have the skill gear. I know a lot of players are likely thinking about bringing the Secret Avengers for the global node, so that's something to consider as well. But I think Shang-Chi is an absolute lock because he's one of the few characters you can actually farm directly. He's a top 5 character in the game, and the amount of value he brought in terms of cleansing, in terms of damage dealing, I just felt that he was definitely a top 3 MVP for each of my nodes. Now that leads me to my 5th character here, and really is kind of in preparation in terms of events coming up as well as the value overall, and that's actually Squirrel Girl. I was going back and forth between Squirrel Girl and a couple other characters, but for me, what I noticed right away in the first 3 nodes was that there was a lack of healing and sustain, and I really wanted to kind of correct that. The nice thing about Squirrel Girl is that she has a cleanse, as well as being able to actually heal, and that's really, really huge. If you're able to do that, you're going to be able to sustain your characters, and that's something I already saw as a glimpse in my first 2 nodes, utilizing the majority of these city characters. The other component of her ability is her ultimate, being able to attack enemies, applying an offense down, and I actually found that the heal block was extremely useful because there were times where I knew that the enemy was about to heal, and having the heal block gave me that certainty that, it was going to be okay. It wouldn't have impacted them regardless anyways. And offense down to me is the same as having defense up when you're able to reduce their damage, right? So any chance you have that to actually apply that to enemies, that's absolutely huge. Passive, whenever a young Avenger, which includes herself, drops below that threshold, she does apply deflect, and as well the drain that gets applied for her as well whenever she does damage. So I found that was extremely useful. She gets that increase in boost health percentage. So overall, she does supplement herself. Main reason I got push towards actually leveling her up was the upcoming Scourge event, because I knew that the Young Avengers from my side was going to be the biggest team that I can utilize in terms of unlocking Rogue, and that really pushed me over because I want to ensure that I had a good chance, because I haven't invested in A-Force at all, and similar to my first Scourge event, my Web Warriors is what carried, so I'm hoping my Young Avengers will do the same thing. Also keep in mind, you know, the Young Avengers, even if you don't utilize them actively, they're one of the best ward defense teams as well, so I mean, we're going to naturally bring them up for the Scourge, and they're also going to benefit your war defense naturally if they're already slotted there. Now, reflections overall. This team, these 5 characters, extremely useful. Overall, the attempts per node that I had from nodes 4, nodes 5, and node 6, there are about 3 to 4 attempts. I've read some stories online where if you don't have Cloak and Dagger, that combination, you can take, you know, 5, 6 plus attacks, but this team actually seemed to work out really well for me overall. I would say, honestly speaking, the weakest link was probably Scarlet Spider. You know, and that's why I was saying earlier, we already kind of saw a glimpse of it when he dropped off for the Node 3 in Dark Dimension 5, and then I brought in Dr. Doom. I wasn't too sure because I saw that he was a newer character, so I thought instantly, you know, the statistical boosts, you know, he's relevant in the sense that he actually applies negative conditions as well, you know, such as having slow, defense down. That's extremely useful, right? I even switched the healer ISO 8 on him just to give a little bit more healing, but at the end of the day, what I liked about him the most was actually his passive, because he actually gives that health percentage boost. But what I realized more from the first 3 nodes in City for 4, 5, and 6 was actually having crowd control. There were times where I just wish Scarlet Spider wasn't just there to extend negative conditions or apply slow. If you can actually prevent a character from actually making a move, I found that probably would have been honestly a deal breaker for me in terms of surviving a wave or an attack. That said, guys, if I could go back in time and if you guys have the resource and materials, I think the difference maker would have been OG Spider-Man. With a couple things, right? First of all, starting with passive. You know, whenever there's a dodge, he's going to get the speed bar boost. Yes, he doesn't get the raid bonuses, but don't forget, he always has the natural dodge stance already. He gets 5% speed. Any character has taken an action that's really natural, right? He's going to have that synergy with Gold Spider as well. But one of the key things I recommend him that I noticed right away when I started these city nodes was Omega Red, and losing him, his ability blocks, really, I found it really crucial to actually push through the nodes, because having a stun such as Tangled Web as his ultimate, applying a slow and a stun, I just thought that would have been such a crucial aspect in some of the wave managements when that was coming at me, especially when I knew that a cleanse was coming, and I wish that Scarlet Spider wasn't just extending a blind or applying a slow. If I had OG Spider-Man, I feel like I likely could have done it in maybe 2 or 3 attempts as opposed to 4 average on each, right? So I feel like I likely would have had a better chance. His special attack is really good too, because this is quite similar already to Scarlet Spider, where he applies defense down and slow. So overall, that's my regrets. I think I believe that OG Spider-Man likely would have performed better. My 5 characters that I should have brought in originally should have been Spider-Man in place of Scarlet Spider, then Shang-Chi, Squirrel Girl, having that combination of Cloak and Ghost Spider. So if you guys are watching this video and you're able to capitalize on those 5, I think you're going to do a couple things, right? You're going to be really able to capitalize on the bio gear and materials, ideally utilizing some value from Web Warriors, but as well as some of the top meta characters. And as well, you get to save some Mystic Gear from being utilized for Dagger, because don't forget, you know, with the Mystic Gear, if you go ahead and filter here, they are some of the best characters in the game. You're going to likely utilize Dr. Doom, Morgan Le Fay, Cersei, Icarus. If you're building up the Darkhold team, they're all going to be using Mystic Gear, so you do really want to stay away from utilizing Dagger, in my honest opinion, for the city nodes, especially if you want to continue pushing on as opposed to being gated in your Dark Dimension 5 progress. So that said, you guys, I'm just pushing through right now, but the videos will come. Thank you as always. I hope this video is able to at least give you some perspective and insight, because this is kind of what I learned as I was going through it. Next up is going to be the global nodes following, and then Cosmic. So thank you as always, you guys. Do appreciate you checking my videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.